everyone, and thank you for joining us at The Signal. Today, we talk about everything from the legacy of Halifax's wildest music venue to a gin with an interesting tie to beekeeping. I'm Hannah Marais.
Thanks, Hannah. I'm Sam Farley. Our first story today, we're joined by reporter Alicia Gallant, who's going to be talking about even though the provincial mask mandates were lifted, some students are still choosing to wear one.
With the provincial mask mandate now lifted, many students across Nova Scotia are left feeling conflicted due to the ongoing mandates at their universities. For Dalhousie student Amanda Hajara, wearing a mask is something she will continue to do whether she is at work behind the info desk of the student union building, in a class, or at the mall.
Honest, I feel like people still don't understand that COVID is still here and it looks like it's going to stay. And with the mask mandate removing, it's just going to add to the spread. And if you catch COVID, maybe you didn't get the hard side effects, but a lot of people are still getting the very severe and horrible side effects, and people are still dying from it. So if you don't want to acknowledge that, I think that's pretty not a good thing for you.
8 out of 10 universities would agree with Amanda and are keeping the mask mandate until the summer term begins, while NSCC and Université Sainte-Anne have dropped their policies along with the province. While some students disagree with Amanda, Maya McKay Boehner agrees with her.
I haven't gotten sick at all since we started wearing masks in 2020, and I like not being sick, so I will be wearing my mask as much as I can. And in general, like big public spaces specifically, I didn't wear it on the bus once, but I had lost it, and I was putting my shirt up. It was no, so I will be wearing it.
You can wake up in the morning, you wear socks, so you're comfortable, you wear a jacket in the cold. I don't understand what's so hard about putting a mask on. It's not that hard for everyone. So I don't like it. I'm still going to keep wearing my mask because COVID is still here and it's here to stay. So
people will continue to choose whether or not they will continue to wear a mask as COVID cases across the province and country begin to rise.
I'm Alicia Gallant for The Signal.
Despite no formal mask mandate, Nova Scotia still highly recommends people wear them. Thanks, Alicia.
Students in a New Brunswick university are speaking out because they say one school lacks mental health policies and resources. As a warning, this story does discuss suicide and mental health concerns. Anna Mandin has the story.
Universities all over the country give out resources for students' mental health. Like Dalhousie University, which hosted a school-wide mental health week a few weeks ago.
Welcome to Colburn House.
But some students from Crandall University in New Brunswick say their school lacks mental health resources and clear policies. 19-year-old Faith Howe says that she felt shut down when she reached out to the campus administration in January for support. According to Crandall's website, there is a counselor who comes to the campus twice a week, but Howe says that without a referral, the counselor has a 3-week wait list.
Instead, they told me to stop talking to their staff about it, and to stop talking to my friends about it, and to pretty much just stop talking.
A few weeks later, Howe became suicidal and went to the hospital. Her mother took her back to her home near Fredericton. Shortly after, Cindy Howe got a call asking her to move her daughter permanently out of residence.
And they just didn't think that she was capable of living on her own with her mental health issues.
Cindy agreed. Shortly after coming home, Faith did attempt suicide. But both Cindy and Faith Howe believe that having access to resources and support before Faith became suicidal might have helped prevent the situation. Since going public with her story on Facebook, Faith Howe says she's heard from other students who have had similar experiences or concerns. Abby Murphy is Howe's friend. After Howe was asked to leave, Murphy decided to speak out. This isn't the first friend she knows who's been asked to leave residence because of their mental health. She's concerned about the lack of clarity in the university's policies.
The process is not clear. There's no policy saying that once you get to this point, you need to be removed from residence.
Murphy says that ramps up anxiety for students who don't know when or if they'll be asked to leave because of their mental health problems.
Crandall's interim president, Robert Knowles, declined an interview. But in an emailed statement, he said that the university took mental health problems very seriously. He wrote that he believed most of the questions we asked the school were based on false information, but he wouldn't say what was false. He said that privacy rules and Crandall's policies prevented him from explaining.
Faith Howe says she loves the school, but she's worried about how the current system could affect students.
I'm afraid that something's going to happen and someone's going to get hurt, and I don't want that.
For the Signal, I'm Anna Mandan.
If you are in need of mental health assistance, most universities offer support through student health services. If not, resources from the province are available, such as their hotline at 1-855-922-1122. Thank you, Anna.
A Halifax all-ages music venue, popular for their wild punk and heavy metal live shows, is planned to be torn down by the city. Reporter Brad Chandler has a story of why fans of this one-of-a-kind event say that it is important. Thank you, Brad.
For the month of March, this building located in the Halifax Commons is acting as a temporary overnight shelter. But you could never imagine by its size that for the past 25 years, it was often filled to capacity with sweaty teenage music fans. This was the home for Halifax's all-ages music scene. They call it the Pavilion. And while the city plans to knock it down later this spring, kids from this scene say memories made inside these walls over the years will last a lifetime. CJ Hill was one of these kids growing up and is now the president of the Pavilion Youth Association.
There's something about it. There's a mojo to it. There's magic in these bricks.
And that magic went on for 2 decades. The Pavilion has become synonymous over the years with hosting wild, high-energy live shows in front of packed rooms of underage fans. No booze, no drugs, just music. Groups like Halifax's Sleep Shaker are just one of many bands who have graced the Pavilion stage since its inception in 1998.
Just such a positive place to be, and like you could just always feel the energy when you played.
For 25 years, the Pavilion was a full-time live music venue. A handful of the bands that played here even went on to world fame, like the Grammy Award-winning metal group Code Orange. CJ Hill received an email in February that all the Pavilion's music equipment must be removed before the building is demolished later this spring as part of new city developments.
Personally, it is very, very upsetting. The day when we were moving everything out, I did have a few tears escape my eyes.
Hill says he was caught off guard by the city's letter, left wondering if that meant the death of one of the few remaining all-age music venues left in Halifax. Despite little communication in the beginning, the city now says they want to work with Hill in finding a new venue that the Pavilion Youth Association can hold shows in the future. It may not be a familiar venue, but it will be a place for young fans to experience the magic that Hill and many other music fans have known since the late 1990s.
I had this access to this space, then everyone else should as well.
For The Signal, I'm Brad Chandler.
With that niche market that the Pavilion had in the Halifax music scene, I think we can say that it will never be forgotten. Thanks, Brad.
Speaking of music, local bands are gearing up for a summer with fewer restrictions and more time on stage. Matthew Hebert spoke with one of these bands.
Sleepy Kicks is one of the many local bands that formed in the last 3 years. The 4 members spent the pandemic practicing, doing performances over Zoom, and waiting for restrictions to finally lift so they could get back on stage. Now those restrictions are gone, and while excitement is in the air, so is worry.
We haven't really existed outside of the uncertainty of the future, so we have these big eyes looking towards future shows and potentially getting around Atlantic Canada this summer. But there's, who knows what the world will look like in 3 months, 6 months, 8 months.
Bands and artists were shut down hard by the pandemic. Venues, whether they were closed or open at even partial capacity, meant that artists and bands were losing a big chunk of their primary source of income. And according to Statistics Canada, 64% of that revenue went down the drain in 2020, second only to the loss seen by movie theaters and amusement parks. Returning to the stage may not be the same, though. Craig Mercer has taught music business for over 8 years at the Nova Scotia Community College. He says the gig economy will look different.
Everybody's been cooped up for so long and bands haven't been playing, so there's so much competition for gigs and space on stages, and the bands that are out there delivering and kicking ass are gonna be the ones that get the gigs.
Heading into this first truly open season of concerts in over 2 years, the bands are holding their collective breath. For now, shows are energized, fueled by the hope that it will be a successful season, as enjoyable for their fans as it is for their wallets. For The Signal, I'm Matthew Hammer.
If you're looking to support local musicians as COVID restrictions ease, head out to your favorite restaurant or bar, and chances are you'll be treated to some great live music. Thank you, Matthew.
1 month after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the conflict still rages on. For many Ukrainians abroad, it's more than just a physical conflict, but also an emotional one. Reporter Natalia Tola joins us with a story from Dalhousie University, where one student from Europe is here, but her family remains in Europe.
Before enrolling in Dalhousie University, Anastasia Kutulska attended high school in Bilat Tserkva, Ukraine. Anastasia learned in her safety class that putting a cold stone in the mouth can prevent thirst. Anastasia and her friends used to mock that tip. Now, all her friends back home have to do it. This is a story about Ukrainian students in Halifax and how their lives have been turned upside down due to the war. She arrives in a swirl of color. She looks tired, and she is late. She says it was because she could barely get herself out of bed.
I guess a lot of my thinking's been like, how is this happening to me? Like, I'd never think that like I could be like a war refugee.
A top student, Kutulska says now staying focused on school is becoming impossible.
I'm like 3 weeks behind because I just like didn't have time or energy or motivation, and like when I have like I can either help my family apply for visas or I can go and study for my exam, and the latter is really not my priority.
She says she needs to keep busy. She pulls out a handful of knitted poppies from her backpack. She's been making them in blue and yellow for the Ukrainian flag. Anastasia Kutulska says people have been kind to her, offering to buy 30 poppies from her. All she can think about is somehow seeing her family again.
I just I want to hug all my friends and family and know they're okay.
This is an emotional time for any Ukrainian students. Their country and their families are endangered every day. For The Signal, I am Natalia Tola.
Thank you, Natalia, for taking us inside Anastasia's frightening world right now.
Despite its young age, this local business has been creating a big buzz on liquor shelves across the province. Its Gin Royale has consistently outsold big-name brand premium gins, all while giving back to the community. Chase Fitzgerald has the story.
If you've ever been to the Nova Scotia Liquor Commission before, chances are you've seen this bottle. But what you may not know is that this gin is made locally, and by buying it, you're supporting sustainable beekeeping in Nova Scotia. Compass Distillers is a 5-year-old distillery located in the historic north end of Halifax. With only 3 distillers on staff who produce everything, down to the handwritten batch number on each label, this small business pays tribute to bees and the botanicals they pollinate to produce the bestseller, Gin Royal.
It's a really nice sort of contemporary gin which has a coloring from something called butterfly pea flower, and that gives it this really rich blue color, which also contributes to this fun color-changing feature.
He says that the gin captures the Nova Scotian experience by featuring local ingredients such as honey and royal jelly.
It started off kind of as like a behind-the-bar experiment that turned into something that a lot of other bartenders and even wholesalers were looking for.
Because their gin is so versatile for cocktail making, it grew popular in NSLCs across the province, according to the Liquor Commission's Gavin Allward. This year, it became the second top-selling premium gin, just under Hendrick's. What most customers don't know is that $1 from every bottle sold is donated to the Nova Scotia Beekeeper Associations. As a nonprofit organization, these donations are important to support sustainable beekeeping education, according to the president, Alex Krause.
We're always looking for sources of revenue to fund those things for the betterment of the industry. So the relationship with Compass gives us that revenue stream to invest in research going forward.
Thanks to the gin's consistent success, Compass Distillers will be donating a check for $10,000 this year. As for Gin Royal, Krause says he loves the product.
It's very good. I know that we have a lot of beekeepers who swear by it, and I'm not sure whether it's because it's linked to the Beekeeper Association or because there's a big queen bee on the bottle.
For whatever reason, Gin Royal is certainly creating a buzz around town. For The Signal, I'm Chase Fitzgerald.
It certainly sounds like trying this gin would be a worthwhile experience. Thanks, Chase.
Our final report today is from reporter David J. Schumann, who joins us from the People's Park to explain the struggles of homelessness in Halifax.
I'm here at the People's Park, at the corner of Dublin and Chebucto. 7 months ago, unhoused people moved in and spent the entire winter here. The city has made moves to close the park in the coming weeks, but residents and volunteers say that it's just not enough time.
Laura Patterson has been a volunteer with the park for a few months. She says that she's disappointed to see the direction of the city.
Further, no supplies or anything like that were ever delivered by any member of the city or provincial government, as far as I'm aware of, other than some individual outreach workers, but there was no larger effort to make sure that these people that we would know would be sleeping rough, because we know that they don't have anywhere to go, because we know that they can't afford housing, because a whole bunch of people with a lot more money than them still can't afford housing here either.
While there are other options, some are scared that they aren't sustainable.
Okay, hi, my name's Stephen Moses. I've been homeless for several months now, almost a year. And right now I'm lucky enough that the church here has provided us with really nice shelters with heat and hot electricity. They let us take showers in the church every few days. They provide us dinner if we're home in the evening. They let us use their laundry facilities in the rectory. The church has been really great and really kind. So it's not huge, but here, I'll put the light on. For a single person, it can be very comfortable. It has just enough of what you need between, your living condition, your living, unit here and the church. When I came to the church, I'd been in Coburg Park and I'd had my shelter broken into several times. They stole all my cigarettes, they stole my lanterns and flashlights. Never had any problems here at the church. This is a safe space.
Like many others, Moses is struggling with high rent and low wages. He's not sure how, but he says that he will find a permanent place to live, whatever it takes.
Church only has a permit to house people here until May. Originally it was March and they got an extension. So they may get another extension here. My goal is no matter what, even if they do get an extension, I'd like to be out of this shed and into an apartment by May. And I hope they do get an extension and someone else can get this shed when I'm done with it, because the other option is they're just going to put them in storage.
For The Signal, I'm David Schumann.
Thank you for that important report, David. And that is our show for today. Thank you for tuning into The Signal, and I am Sam Farley.
And I'm Hannah Marais. See you next time.